Hi, friends. Thanks for joining us. Do us a favor, smash that subscribe button. It really helps the channel grow. Thank you for all your support. Benny, where can they find us on social media?
Yeah, you can find us, Ray Benny Sports. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Check us out also on Reddit. And don't forget, leave us a rating on your favorite podcast provider.
We got Winnipeg Jets talk, NHL talk, NFL talk, and more. But let's start off with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the rough outing at Tim Hortons Field. Yeah. Let's go. Good, bad, ugly. Let's start with the good. Get that out of the way, I guess.
Nick Dembski was good. Getting open all afternoon. Ended up 6 catches, 137 yards, and a TD. He looked good.
So good.
He's so good. Now he's at 931 career rushing, or sorry, his highest receiving yards in his career for this year, and probably going to break 1,000. So Nick Dembski balled out in that game for me.
First Canadian receiver to break 1,000 since Gerald Wilcox in '95.
That's crazy. Holy wow.
Yeah, it's been a while.
That's a long time.
It's been a while. Yeah, Ben Cahoon had many 1,000-yard receiving seasons in between those.
Yeah.
And Dalton Schoen, of course. Steady as they go. Any other good?
I'll give credit to Evan Holm. Nice interception when Hamilton could have probably put this game away. There wasn't a lot of good on that defense, really, but second half they were a bit better. But that interception helped the Bombers and gave them a chance after the Bombers had their own turnover and Hamilton were about to get a touchdown. So great play by him. Also then Kyrie Wilson as well for causing a fumble on Powell and giving his Bomber offense yet another attempt at taking control of this game. But unfortunately, the offense couldn't, but some nice plays by those guys.
Kyrie Wilson is always under the radar good. Just steady. And Evan Holm, aside from Willie Jefferson's probably the most consistent player on the defensive side of the ball. I think he's still number 2 at pass knockdowns. I'm not too sure because they haven't updated the CFL stat PDF.
Your PDF
yet.
Is not up to date?
No. Idiots. He makes the tackles. He reads the defenses, and he's never out of position, really. And he doesn't take bad risks, doesn't take ill-advised chances. So, man, I hope they hold on to him for a long time.
He's one of the safer guys, right? Because Demario Houston plays good D for the most part, but he's also looking for that interception a lot too, where he ends up getting beat after. So Holm is that stay-at-home guy, and he'll be there when you need him.
Yeah, and if we're going to talk about defensive backs, I'll give a shout out to the Hamilton defensive back that's Canadian, Stavros Katsatonis.
Good job.
Yeah. Probably wrong still. Straight out of UBC, he's like all over the field, and he got that crazy sack that pushed the Bombers out of field goal range, and I think he got a pick as well. So he's good for sure.
Yeah, that D from Hamilton, I was missing a few guys, really stepped it up in that second half and shut down that Bombers offense and caused problems for Claros. On the interceptions and everything like that. So good play by them. Again, coming off heading into a bye week, coming off the Banjo Bowl. We had the same recipe last year and it turned into disaster. And this year again, Bombers just weren't ready. Didn't come out ready.
You want to go with the bad?
Let's start with that first half D, because Hamilton scored on their first 4 possessions, I believe. Then that offense was unstoppable, and that Bomber defense without Jeffcoat. Is Jeffcoat the most important guy on his D? Because usually when he's out, that Bomber D kind of suffers a bit. I know they settled down a bit in the second half and played better, but missing that guy hurt them, and that D looked very bad in that first half.
Oh,
Taylor Powell, 236 yards. Like he was finding open guys. There was just guys open. No pass rush, no pressure, and the DBs were playing soft.
That whole team just got outplayed and physically beat. This is great Mike O'Shea quote. Says a lot, I think. He said, I thought we couldn't get off the field defensively. Quarterback was escaping. Completing a lot of balls on second down. We needed to challenge a little more. We lost the turnover battle. Not clean enough. Not gritty enough to come all the way back. That's kind of a nice way of saying there was no pushback. Yeah. And I don't think I've heard O'Shea with that criticism very often, if at all. Just the effort and pushback, it wasn't there. The mistakes they've made, obviously, we've seen mistakes, but just to not have that pushback is a little disconcerting. And, we look at the games they've lost against these what, 3 out of 4 against losing teams.
with rookie
And it's
quarterbacks, basically.
always questionable of what's going on. Where is the juice? Why can't they start? So when O'Shea is kind of calling out the grittiness, the effort, maybe, I think that's a red flag. I don't think it's just a quote, a regular O'Shea quote, everything's okay. I think there's an issue there. And I don't
Well,
think it's just with Jeff Coat not being there. This is a team thing, a culture thing.
Well, they're 1-4 heading into bye weeks over the last 2 seasons. So we've noticed that as well, that they're an issue going into buys, that they're looking ahead to that bye and that time off. But the funny thing is, I was wondering over the weekend too, is there accountability on this team? There's a lot of veterans, and their spots are safe. So they're probably not getting benched for a new guy coming in at this point. And so that quote from O'Shea there is kind of telling, because he's probably looking at it as well, saying, hey guys, it's time for you guys to step up, and you got to be able to step up in these games like this. These are the games that they came back and kind of won last year, right? And this year it's not working out for them.
No. Any other bad?
Well, Claros, I mean, rough second half, did not look like himself. First interception, okay. They fooled him on that, but the other two, he's just trying to force things. He's up to 13 interceptions so far this year. And you're thinking, with such a good team that they have, why is he trying to force things? Just take the sack, throw the ball away, live to play another down. But he's trying to force things in there sometimes, and it's causing problems.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Brett Favre there syndrome.
Yeah. And then
And
Sergio
sometimes
Castillo.
you do have to take the good with the bad.
Go ahead.
But that's
Yes.
rough.
Yeah.
That's rough in these past couple games.
Well, that's 3 interceptions in how many games now? 3 at least? Like Edmonton, this one, Saskatchewan there. So
the running game did not look good.
no, and they abounded it.
That means bad. Hamilton shut it down. And why force it if it's not happening? So we talked about the possibility of Saskatchewan, Hamilton's front seven being an issue, and they're an issue.
Yeah, and then flip-flop, Butler and Hamilton ran all over Winnipeg to the tune of 160 yards total.
Mm-hmm.
And we thought that Bomber D, Rush D, was actually playing way better, which they were, but really, man, they got gashed. And Willie Jefferson, we've talked about him. He's been fairly quiet. Not really on the stat sheets of sacks or anything like that. And so he's gonna have to step it up as well as we hit these last 4 games for the Bombers.
And you mentioned Jeff Coat not being there being an issue, and of course it is. But that interior defensive line is not as strong as it has been in the past few years, and I think that's showing, especially when Jeff Coat isn't there. But I think on a week-to-week basis, if y'all are shutting down the Jeffs, that interior defensive line is not a threat to shut it down in the middle.
Yeah,
especially if you can establish the rushing game. Any other bads before we go into ugly? Ooh, what is an ugly?
Yeah, I mean, it depends where you want to throw this one. I guess it's not ugly, but Castillo missing the convert, Sergio Castillo missing the convert, which ends up getting returned for 2. So his miss and poor tackling and special teams all together on that return, and then missing a 47-yard field goal as well. So there's a swing of 6 points, which the Bombers ended up losing, which the funny thing is Leggio was perfect on this day. So kind of, I don't know, bad karma there or something. I have no idea, but just kind of funny, even in a way.
Yeah, he went to beat the Bombers. Ugly then. Hamilton, a team that is usually 46% conversion rate on second down, was converting at a rate of 54%. That is not good. That is not good. You're letting this team, and that's why the defense was on the field a lot. So I'm going to say second down conversions, Hamilton getting them, Winnipeg not being able to stop them, was definitely ugly.
Yeah, those I totally agree. And then like the Bombers offense was moving as well, but they were scoring fairly quick in that first half too. So it was a lot of back and forth, and D was on the field a lot after that. Claros's last 2 picks, like I said, those were ugly to me. You can almost forgive him on the first one, but I don't know how he's getting fooled on all these passes lately or these coverages lately. But those second 2, again, trying to force it in, live to play another down, and Simone Lawrence almost ended up picking off another one if he on an acrobatic catch. So Claros has got to clean those up and get a little bit better.
And also the secondary, I think. The Bombers secondary. This amount of space between them and the receivers, especially on these second downs. Like there was one where if they would have stopped them, it could have really swung the game. And Winston Rose was so far off of Tim White, their primary receiver, and there was no other receiver around. And he had help to the outside. So I didn't understand why there's so much space there. So I don't know if that's a schematic thing or an execution thing. I can't criticize because I don't know. I'm just a fan, but it was just really glaringly apparent, yeah, a few times within the game that there's so much space between the secondary and the receivers of the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Yeah, it always seems when there's no pressure, the DBs struggle a little bit or are giving up a lot of cushion. But yeah, it looked too easy for those Hamilton receivers and for Powell.
Jeez. Any more ugly?
Return game and kick coverage game again. We're back in this same boat where they struggle to get, flip the field position or anything like that. Jamal Parker's not, he's okay. He's not great back there. They really need Janarin Grant back as soon as possible, or at least going into the playoffs.
Top performer for the Bombers in this game. Who you got?
I'm gonna go with Nick Dembski. He put up what did I say, 136 yards, right?
Yeah.
Or 137. Made some great plays downfield. He was all over the field for the Bombers and looked really good out there.
Yeah, can't go wrong with Nick Dembski. Oak Park must be super proud right now with Dembski and Oliveira. Also, former Bomber Leggio. Good game.
Yes.
Good game for you.
Yeah.
What are your major questions for the Bombers going into the bye? One of mine is we just talked about special teams. When is Janarin coming back? It's clear that they're desperately missing them. They can't flip the field. There's no big returns in regards to energy. Us in Bomberland, for the past 40 years, we've maybe had 3 good returners: Keith Stokes, Albert Johnson, and him.
Yeah.
So we know what it's like to not be able to flip that field. And yeah, we're hurting them. So that's one of my questions. When's he coming back?
Yeah. Hopefully sooner than later. Bye week this week. They said he's on till October at least now, right? So after the Toronto game, hopefully. For me, where's the consistency? We saw this team against Saskatchewan not play well in the Labor Day game. Kind of came back, almost took that game, but in the Banjo Bowl, they're world beaters. They look like superpowers, and they destroyed Saskatchewan. And then the week after that, again, we're back with Hamilton, and Hamilton's destroying the Bombers early. They got to find that consistency, and we were kind of talking about the accountability and stuff. And maybe O'Shea's kind of hinting at that right now with his quotes, but they got to find it, and they're a veteran team. So they've been here. They haven't been here with this many losses lately in the last few seasons, right? So they're going to have to find and fix what the problem is.
Yeah. Are they overconfident?
Yeah, I think so. They probably think they can come back in every game that they're down, and it'll end up successful. And I think that's worked for them last year, but not so much this year.
The last 3 years.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Until the Grey Cup.
Yeah. Yeah. And so there you go. That just the start of it, where they should have learned from it, right? That, hey, this is not always going to work out. We're not going to win these 1-score games here and there. So now it's flipped.
That did definitely serve the team well for 3-4 years. The ability to just don't panic. If we stay on course, everything will be all right. Well, maybe it's time to just switch up some things to try and get that energy going. Maybe it's time to go off course, get off script, try something new, put some substitutions in, try some new. I don't know. I don't have time to watch hours of tape, so I can't say officially, man. I don't know.
One more. What is going on with Collaros? He's definitely not the same player he was for the last 2 seasons. I know he's got tons of yards, and he's got more yards. He's on pace for more yards than last year, but the turnovers, which he did not do for the last couple of seasons, are just full front. Like we said, 3 interceptions at least in 2 to 3 games here so far this season. It's so uncharacteristic of him. It's mind-boggling.
Yeah, I'm going to segue into the next segment then. Which Blue Bombers stat of the week? Why is the stat that you're picking? What does it tell us about Bombers this season? And I'm going to pick Collaros. This is multiple times we've seen him play with multiple interceptions, weird interceptions that you don't see. It just boggles my mind. In the Bombers' 4 losses, Collaros, his ratio is 6 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. While the winning games, he's 23 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. That's more than 3-1 when they win. That's huge. So that's my stat of the week.
Yeah, that's I got the same one, really, because that's the biggest thing for me. Does that include the Edmonton game? Because he was at 3 interceptions that they came back to win, but he was not part of the win, obviously, right? So that's the same for me, and that's the biggest thing. And it's not only the fooled ones where he's getting fooled pretty bad; it's the ones where he's throwing it up for almost anyone, and giving the other team a chance at it. He doesn't seem to be seeing the field the same way as he has for the last few seasons. And now you got so many good receivers. Unless he's trying to force these into the receivers and get them to make a play, I don't know what's going on, but yeah, he's definitely gonna have to clean that up. And I know he probably will, and chances are, but we've seen him come out with good games like Saskatchewan last week, and then this kind of stuff. So it's up and down.
Yeah. Bummer fans, put your thoughts below. Let's go into the CFL Week 15 grades. I'll start. Toronto Argos, I'll give them a B. They are the gold standard in the CFL right now. Montreal came out strong, as expected. It's hard to beat a team 2 weeks in a row, but Toronto ended up doing it, and on the road. Should be an interesting matchup. Toronto and Hamilton on Saturday.
Yeah,
Toronto gets a
Hamilton.
B.
C for Montreal. They hung in there. They had a chance. They were winning late. Unfortunately, again, they found a way to blow this game. They gave up 5 sacks again. That could almost even drop them down to a C minus, actually. And then having that field goal blocked at the end of the game.
Ugh.
This team does not do enough to win games or to put games away on offense or defense.
Montreal. 4-game losing streak.
Yeah. But hey, all their games are against
6-3, 6-7.
All their remaining games are against losing teams. So,
well, those last 4 games, what was it? Winnipeg, BC, Toronto.
Yeah,
give me a break.
Tough
my gosh! Thank you again, CFL schedule makers. One-time Grey Cup rematch. Then they get the any which way. I'll go to Edmonton. They get a B plus. They are fun to watch. Trey Ford is box office. Their run game is crazy. 265 yards against Saskatchewan. Man, I hope they get a big crowd. I hope they get a big crowd. That could be a good doubleheader on Friday. Because who else is playing? Saskatchewan? They're on the road in Edmonton or to Ottawa?
No. Yeah.
Saskatchewan's in Ottawa. And man, phew. So they can get some good ratings on that one. Trey Ford's box office. Love to play that. Yeah.
Edmonton, Saskatchewan, Ottawa, and then BC, Edmonton right after that.
There you go. Box office.
Yeah, no, it'll be a big one. If Saskatchewan loses and Edmonton wins, it's one game, right? So, because Hamilton winning probably kills their chances of the crossover. It'll be kind of tough. They have to get at least 3 wins, and Hamilton wins no more. So, Saskatchewan, D. Wow. Kevin Brown is now just 100 and something yards away from Oliveira after these last few weeks of running, but he ended up with 175. Saskatchewan has given up 117 points in their last 3 games. So this team is back on the downward spiral. So D for me in this one.
I'll go to the Prairie Cousins and say Winnipeg gets a D as well. Outplayed, outcoached, outbattled. It was Hamilton's day. Man, there's a troubling pattern to those losing teams. Hey, but if none of the losing teams make the playoffs, maybe that's a good thing for the Bombers.
Some of them will, though.
Yeah, you never know. Let them all go for a run.
There'll be a couple teams with losing records in there. Hamilton, I'm going to give them an A. They figured out a good way to attack that Bomber D early. And then kind of, their own D stepped up in the second half to kind of put the game away. So A for Hamilton. Great game by them.
Ottawa Red Blacks, I'll give them a D. Ooh, the 19-point lead, gone. Sitting on a lead, too. Kahari, what are you doing? Like, step on their throats. Why just the play calling is kind of suspect? I don't know who to blame, really, but I'm kind of still on the fence. Actually, no. I'm more 60 off of the fence of that call going for the field goal. It's a huge, because you got returned it. So obviously it was a huge mistake, but I get the sense of going for the 2-score lead with less than a minute and a half left. I get it, but no, it didn't work.
I get it too, but I probably wouldn't have done it. I'd rather have punted him. And because Ottawa D was actually not playing too bad. BC was having a rough time. Vernon Adams, I know they put up a lot, but they had Vernon Adams stopped a lot with interceptions. And really those last few plays, it's special teams that ended up taking that back to get back in the game, right? So,
but also BC had put up 12 points in a row, and Ottawa's offense was going 2 and out on almost every drive.
Right, but you had a 10-point lead at that point. Yeesh. So if you pin them deep, BC still has to go score twice. They obviously crumbled, but BC's D actually didn't look terrible until that. They had given up only 6 points up until that point. So
yeah,
I don't know. But yeah, poor Bobby Dice. I don't know what else to say there. BC, I'm going to give them a B. They struggled in this game, but they ended up putting it away, and a good teams end up finding a way to win at the end. Vernon Adams had some terrible choices, turnovers and stuff like that, but man, they got it done. They got the win. B.
A good week in CFL football, though. I get it, the Bombers lost, but there's some good games. Always CFL playoff implication games now, every week.
Well,
That's
then
fantastic. I'm
yeah,
loving it.
you don't know who's going to win, even going into the fourth quarter. Like that Saskatchewan Edmonton game flipped. Montreal is beating Toronto. Hamilton,
Yeah,
Winnipeg still had a chance to come back against Hamilton, and BC obviously came back against Ottawa. So
it's crazy.
fun
CFL
games.
action. Always, always. Let's go to some Winnipeg Jets talk brought to you by Fahrenheit Brushing. Stand out on the ice, pavement, or the field with a custom airbrushed helmet or goalie mask. A local Manitoba business with affordable solutions for any project. Check out Fahrenheit Airbrushing on Facebook or call them at 204-891-7431. Tell them Ray and Benny sent you. Thanks for the support. Who needs to take the next step for the Jets to make the playoffs? A lot of options here. I'm going to go with Gabe Vilardi. I think that number 2 center is really important for the Jets. And if he can stay healthy, I think he'd be a great, solid number 2 center. Perfetti, maybe, because he has great, he has great hands. He can see the ice great passer, but he's also small and he's also injury prone as well. And like his injuries have been not on very hard hits, or at least the last one, upper body injury on a very, you know, pedestrian hit. Vilardi would be better in the corners, I think. 6'3", 200. He'd be better in front of the net, better defensively. So I think if he takes a step forward, it'd be really important for the Jets to make the playoffs.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do and how they start the season. If they even give Perfetti an opportunity at center, maybe they do in exhibition games and see how he can handle it. But I do agree with you on that one. He's going to have to step up and get a little bit tougher to be able to play that position. So for me, I got 2 guys. I'm going to go with Nick Ehlers. I've called him to somehow lead the Jets in points this year, so we'll see if that actually happens. But he's got to take over a spot of Blake Wheeler's on the power play. He's got to put up the same kind of points that Blake Wheeler was on the power play as well. And he's going to need to contribute on that top line minutes, and it hasn't always worked out for him on the first line, and he hasn't really gotten a long opportunity sometimes, but he's going to need to step it up and play to his potential, especially this year with these new guys. It might take these guys, Vilardi and Iafallo, to get used to kind of the play of the Jets and may have a slow start to the season. So Ehlers is going to need to step it up. And the other guy is Laurent Brossoit. We can't expect Kelly to play 60 plus games all the time. So Brossoit's got to come in and be able to at least handle 20, keep Helly fresh for the playoffs and come in and win those games as well, or play well in those games. So I'm hoping that he can deliver a good season.
Absolutely. Winnipeg Jet fans, in the comments below, who needs to take the next step for the Jets to make the playoffs? I think it'll be an interesting playoff race in the Central. It's kind of up in the air. So much is up in the air.
Did you see Bedard's hat trick the other night? I know it's just the young stars tourney or whatever, but the goals he scored in that game.
Come on. Barlow, he had a nice one. Low, sniped it. Nice.
At least the 2 goalies for the Jets in this tourney looked pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah,
they got some future there.
Let's go into some NHL talk. Thanks again, Fahrenheit Airbrushing, for supporting our Winnipeg Jets talk. Benny, Mike Babcock. You want to talk about this dude? You go first.
What a terrible hire. Like, we talked about it. It's like, why? Well, the old boys club, why are you going back to this guy? Can you not find someone better? And it didn't take him very long to step on toes and whatever else. Like, phones are private matters. If you want someone maybe to see some photos, hey, I'll print you some freaking photos. But grabbing people's phones, looking through them and all that stuff, you know, I got to blame the Columbus management as well on this one, because why you had other guys to choose from. You have a young team, and this is the guy you bring in. Terrible decision by Columbus. Egg on their face.
Oh, I have no idea why they hired him. Well, I look back on episode 100, and I was like, why is John Davidson doing this? And now, why is he absolved? He's like being absolved of any.
Yeah.
No one's criticized John Davidson here, and he is the old school guy. And he was talking about why they hired him. You know, and he was obviously obsessed over Mike Babcock being a winner and whatnot and all that garbage. And that's all he obsessed about. And that's old school thinking. Meantime, he's having an interview with Babcock with a senior executive who is above him. No mention of the GM at all at John Davidson's house. So what a joke process and what a joke hire. They got what they deserved. And you can go to interviews about Babcock and like Mike Commodore, how Babcock tried to bury the guy. Like, why would you want any kind of that in your culture when you're trying to change it?
And he did not let Mike Modano play his 1500 career NHL game. He sat him out and his last opportunity to basically do it. That's what the type of guy this is. And even older guys, the veteran guys from Detroit and all that stepped up and said he was basically an a-hole. You know?
And you know what John Davidson also said is that he referred to ex-players and ex-management. So he's looking to other old school hockey folks to make these decisions in 2023. I don't know why even.
Did he call any of the Toronto guys? Did he call Mitch Marner, Austin Matthews, the young guys? Did he call any of them?
No.
Yeah.
He probably called his boy Ken Holland.
Yeah. There's a good guy to call.
They just, you know what? Old school hockey refuses to use common sense.
It does. And that's why Davidson and even Jarmo Kekalainen, I think at this point would need Columbus needs a clean slate there altogether. Maybe they're just keeping these guys for this year in continuity, but at least in all of this, Pascal Vincent, ex Jet assistant coach and Moose coach, right, is getting a chance to be a head coach there. So looking forward to seeing what he can do, because we were kind of talking about him before, even at some point taking over for the Jets instead of Pomo, but he ended up going to Columbus. So he's getting his chance at least out of this, and hopefully it works out for him.
I totally want to be Winnipeg's coach at one point, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, I bought all in on that guy.
Even Line is happy about it.
Oh, for sure. For sure. That's good. I hope he brings some Winnipeg Jet culture, the good part of it there. Let's go to some NFL talk. Thank you again, Fahrenheit Airbrushing, for sponsoring Winnipeg Jet Talk. Winnipeg Jet fans, put your comments below. And NHL fans. NFL talk. Most surprising 2-0 team? Who do you got?
There's you know what? I got to go with Tampa. Because not in Tampa Bay Bucks, not many people were expecting them to win very much this year. And they beat the Vikes, who, you know, were expected to win a bunch of games this year, but now are 0-2. And then they beat Chicago, who looks terrible, but we're expected to be a lot better this season. So got to give props to Tampa Bay for starting 2-0, and Baker Mayfield for actually looking decent.
Everyone's a fan of Baker Mayfield now. Even the people in Cleveland are cheering for that guy. I'm going to go with Atlanta. They have been dominating with a rushing game, old school style. And this Desmond Ridder is starting to grow up every week. I know it's only been 2 weeks, and he has a great running game to lean on. Like this Brian Robinson, 180 in 2 games, averaging 6.2. Give me a break. And that guy, Algier. Was he rookie? Like he was a rookie last year?
Yeah.
And he broke 1,000.
Yeah.
I like run heavy offenses as a Steeler fan. What's the score on that? Never mind the score. We'll talk about it later. So I'm going to take Atlanta. Most surprising 0-2 team. Who you got?
I'm going to go Chargers. Just because they end up, you know, the Chargers are charging every time. They've blown 2 games late in the fourth quarter here to 0-2. And I know they were playing top teams with Miami and Tennessee, but yeah, I mean, you were winning those games. You should have been able to put them away. So yeah, 0-2 Chargers, not looking good.
I'm going to go with the Vikings. They just got to block and stop turning over the ball. They just signed Dalton Risner, former Bronco guard, so that might help them. They should have done in the offseason. But, you know, I like to make fun of Kirk Cousins, but he's a solid guy. And it sucks to watch them go 0-2, especially with so many friends who are Vikings fans. And I don't think they're missing Dalvin Cook.
No, not at all. But their running game has not been good. Madison, of course, after last game, Madison got some racial threats even over social media, which is disgusting in itself. But the running game hasn't gotten going. The turnovers is basically what's killing them, right? How many fumbles? Almost 8 fumbles in 2 games or whatever it was. It's pretty high up there. So another team is Bengals too, 0-2. Rough start for them. I know 2 tough divisional games too that they've lost. So.
What
did you pick them to
with
get
these
the Super Bowl?
Incel losers attacking people online because of their stupid fantasy football team? It's friggin' make believe, you losers.
Yeah.
Get out of your grandma's basement. Stop being stupid ass mouth breathers and don't attack people racially online for stupid ass fantasy football. That's my rant. I'm done. Kareem Jackson on the hit. Thoughts about that? Should there be further discipline? Well, obviously there will be further, but what kind of discipline are you expecting?
Terrible hit. He got kicked out of the game, which he should have, and I think he should have got at least suspended for 1 game. He had an issue last week with Jacoby Myers. I don't basically fault him almost for that one because he was going low and Myers seemed like he slipped a little bit. But you just went through something like that. So it should be fresh in your head. Hey, man, I got to watch out here. He just launched himself at Logan Thomas, knocked the guy out. Terrible play. But it sounds like he's not even getting suspended. He'll end up probably getting fined, but he's not getting suspended. But he should definitely be suspended.
He left his feet.
Yeah, missile. Straight.
In no situation should those tackles be allowed anymore.
No.
If you leave your feet to hit someone in hockey, you're done. You're done. Like, this should be a multiple game thing. Like, I don't care what the CBA says. I don't care about his past history. If you launch yourself off of your feet into someone's neck and head, that should be multiple games.
Totally
multiple.
Agree. Yeah.
Set a precedent. Like,
the funny thing is, the league is all about player safety. Let's get these headshots out of the game. Well, this is your opportunity to step up and show these guys that you're actually serious. But he's not even going to get suspended.
They are about player safety, but at the same time, it's not priority over your player's right to earn money and do their job at the same level. It shouldn't be. Player safety should be far above that. But
the tough thing is, okay, you got the NHL, or sorry, the NFLPA, who now got the player who injured the guy and the guy who's injured. They got to end up fighting each other over this. Like, it doesn't make sense that they're supposed to look out for both of these players.
And they will.
Yeah.
With the same amount of priority.
Yeah, but the guy who's injured is going to be out for a bit, and this guy's just going to be able to play next week.
That's their job, though.
And Logan Thomas is a guy that has had concussions in the past as well. So,
yeah, he's
terrible hit, man. Terrible hit.
Yeah, well, this guy could be a brickhead. You got a brickhead?
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to give out a few, and then you guys can decide which one you think deserves it most. Yeah. Let's start with Columbus. I'll give it out to Columbus for the hiring of Babcock. So everyone in that organization, front office, they get a brickhead. Kareem Jackson, we just talked about him. Brickhead for me as well. And back to the CFL, I'm going to give a brickhead to Mika Ah, who has been fined 3 times now for dangerous hits this season. Just recently with Trey Ford there a couple weeks ago. Yeah. And this is basically his 4th time in the last year, so including last year. So I don't know what's going on with that guy, but he's also getting a brickhead from me as well.
All 3 very well deserving. Shout out to the U of M Bison's goalkeeper, Karina I hope I say this right. Baji, on her 17 save performance in a loss to the number 1 ranked Thunderbirds. Like, I can't even imagine facing 19 shots in a soccer match. I might save 3. And I got to play goalie. But still, that was a long time ago. But some of these saves, kept the game scoreless. Some of them were shots in the box. One of them was a partial breakaway. She has 192 career saves for the Bisons. She is number 2, 11 saves short of the career program record held by Chloe Worrell. So shout out to Karina.
It's awesome.
You got shout out?
No, I don't this week.
I got you. Sorry about that. All right. I forgot it was my job this week. I wasn't paying attention. I just went to auto. I went into robot mode. Hey, what do you got? Oh yeah, we talked about that earlier. Boy, Benny, you got anything to say to our friends?
You know what? Thanks a lot for listening. Don't forget to check out Fahrenheit Airbrushing. And have a good week.
And in the famous words of Doug Collins, anytime Detroit scores more than 100 points and holds the other team below 100 points, they almost always win. Cut. Is Justin Fields a bust, man?
Yes.
Are you watching football?
Hey?
Are you watching football?
Yes.
Like, what is going around? Like, look at this kid. He has no O-line. Chase Claypool is a huge failure. Thank goodness the Steelers got rid of him. So DJ Moore is double covered all the time. The defense can't do nothing. And look, he ran for over 1,000 yards last year, and they're making him a pocket passer. Get in here. I don't think he's a bust. I think Chicago sucks.
I think he's trending that way. I do think that Chicago does suck, and Matt Eberflus, however you pronounce his name, is terrible. I've seen so many plays in the last 2 weeks from them where two receivers basically run the same route in the same spot. They're like this far away from each other. It's like, what are you doing? So yes, he's not in a good situation there at all. So I don't see that coaching staff surviving after this year.
Hey, friends and neighbors, don't forget to check us out online on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at Ray Benny Sports. And don't forget to check out our YouTube channel. Leave a like, leave a comment, tell us what you think.